welcome to Tennis Sucks. Otherwise,
Are we sticking with that?
I think
it's time, guys.
should we just start with bad calls today? All right, welcome to Bad Calls.
Welcome to Bad Calls. We make terrible fucking calls.
Is it going to be posted on the Tennis Sucks podcast YouTube channel?
I'll see if I can update it by the time I post
Yeah, maybe
this.
like Tennis Sucks, AKA, or something a little addition in addition to.
Our first bad call was deciding that
now.
tennis sucked, honestly.
Well, depends on. That's a very subjective thing.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
You beat the shit out of me. Friends have committed suicide. It's a fucking nightmare, that game.
Well, either way, we are now Bad Calls. And thanks to the suckers, or we'll have to come up with a new name for them now.
The baddies.
The baddies.
Shot callers.
The shot callers, yeah. For kind of like giving us feedback. They gave us a lot of positives on the bad call, I think.
Okay, that's good.
So that's awesome. Well, the funny thing is, Mesa wasn't the only tournament that you played last weekend or recently, Travis.
Starting with that.
You played a volleyball tournament too. Volleyball / pickleball. Why don't you tell us a bit about it?
Well, I'm not good in volleyball. And it was a 4-person event. Justin Rudolph, our good Crescent buddy, put it together. And you had 2 boys, 2 girls, preferably 2 pickleball players and 2 volleyball players.
Mm-hmm.
But I had never played volleyball. The girl I played with had never played pickleball. So it was weird. But I was awful. Like I couldn't feel more uncoordinated. And sadly, the first game that I played ever was against a guy named Jake, who was on Austin's team. And Austin's very good at volleyball also, by the way. And he was a fucking Olympian. He played beach volleyball at the Paris Olympics. That's the first game I ever played. The guy was literally 14 feet in the air, fucking hammering down spikes at me. It's like, this isn't fun. How is this fun? An awful experience. Our team did not qualify, but Julio was our other guy, of course.
Love Julio.
In his false confidence, as usual, he tells me how amazing he is at volleyball. I can barely move, and he's like, "I'm basically an Olympian, pretty much a fucking Olympian." Yeah, he has. I admire his confidence. It's incredible. Because if he saw what I saw, he would not be confident.
That's amazing.
Did you record any of this stuff?
Romero was good. By the way,
At
Romero's
volleyball?
a good volleyball player. He was like tricky and doing shit, but he was recording some, not making fun of me, but like the only shot I made one like this that I didn't get back. He's like, "That's a kill, first kill for Rettenmeyer."
Nice.
So everyone was mocking me, rightfully so.
You deserve it.
I deserve it.
Yeah, you did this to us in pickleball.
Exactly, all the time. And then like Austin was going full board, right at boom, 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 boom. And I was like, hey, there's a lot of trauma to work out for him here. Trust me. Like a lot of L's coming at my chest right now. Rightfully so.
So who ended up taking the gold in this instance?
Austin's team.
Austin's team?
They were so much better.
Yeah.
Connor Derrickson, his team made semis. He and his wife, Michelle, were very, very good at volleyball also.
Nice.
So, I mean, there was really, really high level players in both sports, just nobody like generally playing together at the same time.
Got it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Super cool event. Very few places, I think, that like St. Pete, they could put that together and have such a good turnout.
That's cool. Yeah, I haven't really seen a mixed sport tournament like that.
You should have grabbed Nate Miller as your partner.
I don't think he lives here anymore, but I would have.
That would have been a good
Who's Nate Miller? Is he a volleyball guy?
Yeah, he's like the #1
You don't
grass
remember him? The
volleyball
really
player.
tall
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah.
And he's pretty good at pickleball. He's
we had
probably
some
a 4.0,
good-
4.5 at
He's
pickleball.
better than that, I think.
Do you remember
He was like a
Bailey?
5
She
in
used
his
to
league.
play volleyball too.
Yeah, she was good too.
Yeah,
Right.
That would have been the team to pick up.
Dominating duo, right?
Yeah, and she
Yeah.
was good at pickleball too.
Yeah, I do remember. She was the spike girl.
Yep.
She was
Bailey.
the lefty. That was like the first girl I played with. Yes.
Yep.
And she broke up with her boyfriend and left St. Pete.
That's right. Yep.
Asian dude.
Um,
I'm not sure why that matters, but that's what I remember.
Okay,
Asian
got it,
dude,
got it.
like a really tall Korean guy.
honestly, that did throw me for a second. I had a thought.
Sorry.
Wiped it out my head. Wow. Do you play volleyball, Graham?
No, not regularly, but I'm average at it. Like everything, I'm average.
Okay.
Like I can hold my own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did your coach say you were a natural?
I've never had a coach in volleyball.
Okay. Got it.
I want to see what that hold your own looks like.
Like I can set the ball. I can set the ball.
Okay, well, yeah, I was about to say that's set. This is not set.
You can set it like this
You can, but
If
this,
you're good.
this is a set.
if you're at least average.
Yeah, that's
little set, little set,
It's like saying I'm volleying from the baseline.
little bump.
A little bump. That's
Yeah.
a different conversation. Jesus, Graham, it's a children's show.
Speaking of,
Yep.
I got a picture this weekend of a girl sitting on the center console in her car, like a, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 year old. And the mom is texting me saying, my daughter wants to know why they curse so much. So I guess she's a big fan of Tennis Sucks Pod or Bad Calls. And she goes, and wants to know what fucking shellac even means.
No, that was Amanda.
Yeah,
That was Chris's girl.
his daughter.
Yeah.
No way.
Mac was like, what
is
she wants to know what
shellacked?
fucking shellac means.
Oh my
Well, it's-
And I'm
god.
like, that's an old man's term for beating somebody really bad.
Yeah.
That's
fucking
hilarious. Wow.
Well, at the Proton event, they did one like on a Tuesday night or whatever, and I go down. Again, a lot of lovers of the pod, but there was like this really nice family. Kids are like 13 and 15. They clearly did not say bad words in that house much. And sure enough, they're like, we just love listening to you guys. I was like, oh, fuck.
We're exposing the country to curse words,
Yeah.
apparently.
I mean, you
I
know,
mean, you got to learn somewhere,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's a good place to learn. We're doing fine. But it
So
was just,
Mac, put on your earmuffs for the next 40
fuck that.
minutes.
It's just a fucking word. You're fine. Just don't say it in front of the principal. Be smart. It's like everything. Be smart.
That's awesome. All right, so moving on then. So so let's talk about Mesa for a little bit. Let's start with you, Travis. I mean, I think that
Ugh.
we need to talk about how things went. I honestly, for me, as soon as I saw that you were up against Alahuini on the singles draw, that was when I was like, oh boy, if this
could go
doesn't go
wrong.
well, then
Yeah, I won't delve into that too much. We'll just say I wasn't very good. Had a couple
okay.
issues with my equipment and had to make a purchase over at Pickleball Central. But yeah, I mean, I was not even remotely competitive. It was awful, but I think that was just like the appetizer for the week, of which I sucked the whole time. Not one thing of mine
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
good. In doubles, we fucking sucked. Jay and Pat played awful, and they still beat us. They were terrible.
Wow. So
And-
what was the deal? You think it was just all equipment, or what was mentally going on? Were you like kind of checked out, or what? How are you feeling?
No, it wasn't purely equipment for sure, but just like a little lack of confidence, maybe.
Yeah.
Donald and I always have such a good rapport. I think he seemed pissed. I seemed pissed. We weren't vibing like we usually do. He stormed off after, which was a good thing. Like he was really upset at his level, my level, our level.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just never had a good feel for the ball during the matches. And it was weird because in practice, I was like, oh, I'm playing great. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden I'd get on the court. I was like, I have no fucking idea where the ball's going.
Interesting.
Maybe, there was maybe it was like the shadows and stuff like that was Pat's excuse, but that was not my excuse. I just sucked. And then in mixed, Elise and I, who I was really excited to play with again, same in mixed, were just practice playing amazing, killing everybody. And then get on the court and we played against 2 full D-Lam paddles because it was round 64, so there was no testing. I think it kind of threw us for a loop. I played 2 passive, Elise looked tight, and then I really challenged essentially every paddle on the court, but it was too late. So we played Liz Trueluck and Eric Roddy.
Why is it too late?
It was too late for me to, after I challenged Eric, so we were down like a game and fucking, I don't know, 5-2 or something. It was just too late in the game to, kind of crawl back. We got close, but I should have
so you
done it much earlier.
challenged the paddles and they took them away.
No, so here's the shitty part of the rule. So, and this will be changed.
Oh no.
I'm a rule changer. Again.
I feel like I already know what you're going to say. This is a stupid rule.
Well, no, so the rule isn't stupid. It's just they're trying to deter players from obviously using
Paddle
D-Lam
challenging.
paddles, right? No. They're trying to do it for D-Lam paddles.
Okay.
However, there's no incentive for me to do it because if their paddle does go away and tests negative, they have to send it offsite to a lab because there it's not good enough apparently. We don't win. It's not like they get defaulted because the bracket must go on. So it's like, okay, well, what's the incentive? Well, if she doesn't put down the paddle and they test it, it's $2,500 for her. It's like, okay, but what do I get? Nothing. Okay.
So did you decide not to challenge?
No, I fucking challenge all of them. But
there's something happens to you if they're
But
not.
yeah, I lose like $1,000, I think, right? But it was such a mockery. The paddles were so fucking hot. Like think Dan's paddle when he was playing with the mod. They were all like, it was crazy. Couldn't make a ball. She was fucking tagging me. And so I challenged hers. She decides to put it down. So nothing happens. That one's going to go off to get tested. I challenge her next one because it's just as bad. And she says, oh, this is the only paddle that I have. Like, all right, well, I challenged that one too. And then Roddy was playing with a Pro XR that was full D-Lam. I said, I challenged that one too. As soon as I did, he put it down. And it was just bullshit because there was no scenario there where we weren't going to play against super hot delaminated paddles. So I think what they're going to try to do is change the rule to if it's extremely obvious where you can like go up and crunching or something of that nature, then okay, you have to change it. because the idea is to protect the players from playing against that. And there was no scenario, given the rules, where that would happen. So it's either you do that or you test it on site where they lose if they continue to play with it. They should forfeit. That's the way it should be. And it just felt like that wasn't even fucking pickleball. We just played against 2 rockets the whole time.
I think I saw. Did you get Don Stanley out at one point too?
Yeah, we got him out, and he was apologetic. Actually, he handled it really well. During, he basically said, "There's nothing for you to do. You're going to lose, even if this comes back as the hottest paddle on the planet."
Sure.
And then after, he was like, "Yeah, I understand. There's a slight issue there in the rule. I don't think it's a strong enough deterrent. And it's certainly like if you're, let's just say in theory, you're super wealthy. Like, you don't give a fuck. I'll play with whatever paddle I want. I want to win. $2,500. I don't care.
Yeah.
So." I don't know. Maybe there should be like a strike rule. Where
I think that
twice
there is. I mean, they weren't. I think in the rule it was kind of vague, but it said if they were repeat offenders, then it could end up leading to suspensions and things like that.
Okay. I mean, I hope so.
But
I got into it with Jim Kloss too. That was kind of funny. During, so I guess he's like, I didn't even know who it was, to be honest. But we're playing, and I'm like questioning Roddy, questioning her, saying like, "This is ridiculous. You realize this is cheating. You guys are playing with the hottest fucking paddles ever." And he says something on the sideline like, "Keep beating him and shut his ass up." I was not in the mood. So I turned and like, "Shut the fuck up. Who the fuck are you?" Which I shouldn't have done. And he was like, "I'm a lot more famous than you." I was like, "I've never seen you. You're probably the guy who's on the outside looking in like always, got actually nothing on your own." Bop, 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 bop.
Yeah,
Keeps
yeah.
happening. And he told me to shut the fuck up a few times. And I went up after and said, "Look, I shouldn't have gone that far." But he laughs like, "What are you complaining about? The paddles were tested." It's like, "No, this is round of 64. They don't test. So if you're going to talk, at least know what you're talking about."
Yeah, right,
And
right.
Anyway, he's a media guy for PPA, so
Sure.
he's like, "You're yeah." Anyway,
Wild,
it was a
wild
nice little
times.
altercation. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of crazy that the paddles aren't being tested. When were they not tested previous to this in round of 64 or?
They never are, because in progressive draws, they need to have them one day earlier. It does
Got it.
cost a lot of money. It is
I
a
see,
cost-effective thing. It's understandable, but I do think you have to change the rule to make it like if you played with a delaminated paddle and you continue to play with it, you lose if
Right.
it comes back. Like, I don't know how you do that, but maybe
Yeah.
test it on site. I
Sure.
don't know the outcome, but
So there's no penalty for them if they put it down, it's tested, it fails. 0 penalty, no monetary penalty, nothing.
if they choose to put it down once you challenge it,
What if they just keep pulling out delaminated paddles over and over and over again?
that's essentially what happened. She only had 2. So there was no scenario. That's what I was saying. There's no scenario. He was like, "Well, she could have gone and bought one at Pickleball Central." I was like, "Nobody's doing that. That's never happening."
So what did you do after the second one? Did she put it down?
No, she was like, "Well, I have to play with it because
So she could lose $2,500.
she was $2,500."
Oh wow.
Which
And who was that? Eric Roddy's partner?
that was
Liz
Liz Trulock. And it was weird. Like the
Trulock.
next day, Roddy comes up to me. He's like, "Believe it or not, the first paddle it passed." I was like, "No fucking way. If that's the case, something's wrong." Walk into Pickle Labs. I'm like, "Hey, is it true that the Trulock paddle passed?" Like, "Oh no, not even close. Never passed." That's
Wow.
weird. Like, why say that? He must have gotten it wrong because he's not a dishonest guy. But that was really weird.
Yeah, super odd. Damn, sucks though. Like, I mean, yet again, like another thing that it's on the player's responsibility to have to deal with.
Well,
Like, whilst you're playing a match, you're like
Yes.
having to assess, like, is this paddle I'm playing?
And it
against
didn't feel like
illegal?
pickleball. Like Elise hit one like slow speed up to her while she was deep, and she 2-hand counter rockets at me, and it was just like boom, straight to my body. It was like, what the fuck? Ah, fuck. There we go.
Yeah.
You know, the whole thing changes.
Yeah,
And like, I didn't play well. That's not why they won, but it did definitely
sure.
rattle us.
Right. Okay, so moving on to some other stuff. There was some other big, kind of like headlines, I guess, that came out of this.
Yeah.
One is the upset of Anna Lee and Ben to Declan and Anna. This is Anna's, I think, maybe 3rd upset of Ben and Anna Lee. Once
Okay.
with Diescu.
Yep.
Once with now
James.
Declan, and once with James, I
Yep.
think. Yeah.
You're right.
So it seems like the common denominator here is Anna.
Oh yeah, she's amazing.
What was your take on the match if you got to see it?
I think she does an amazing job of keeping Ben honest. She has such a good drop, dead steady. I don't think she's afraid of the moment. Deckel's a good partner for her because he's not necessarily hit or miss, but he's so powerful and explosive that if he is hot, there's not a lot of spots to go. She's going to set him up. And I think the last point was like kind of an indication of the whole match, the way she read Ben's last 2-handed roll drop line and decided she was going to attack it. It clipped the tape, but she's aggressive. She goes line. It's kind of similar to Georgia, different in that Georgia's, more offensive, and Anna's a little bit more controlled and less errors, but they both go at the dude a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's unbelievable. Great player.
Yeah. Sad that it didn't end up winning, them going forward to actually win the gold, but actually in some ways makes it interesting because they can beat Annalie and Ben, but then also not win the finals. And so the whole field in mixed doubles right now could also be shaken up just as much as the men's doubles.
Well, Graham was right. He said that they would lose 5 times, I think, this year was his call. I don't think it's going to be 5, but definitely that margin is shrinking rapidly. And, guys like Alshon and Diescu and among others are just picking up, getting better and better. And then the girls are obviously getting better and better. So that's going to happen more and more.
And everyone's getting access to the same paddles.
Right.
Well, yeah,
That's a big part of it too.
Correct. And it was funny. I think in that match, it was 3 of the 4 were the Yola 4. And then the other one was, which people say is even hotter, more spin, was Annalise paddle. So it was like 4 bullets.
So then after Ben and Annalie lost, they ended up going to the bronze medal match, which has become a little bit of a meme. You can go and look at some highlights, some memes of pickleball. Definitely some lazy pickleball.
That's a really nice way of saying it. Did you watch any of that?
Yeah.
And what was your take?
I was just thinking if I did that at Crescent, the people at Crescent would get like furious at me.
Furious. Wasting their time.
Wasting their time. Like you would say that. I'd be like, you would leave and be like, you wasted my time.
It's the truth.
So I don't know. It just made me think how we always say it's because there's no incentive to win anymore. They're getting paid whether they win that match or not. So actually the incentive is to not get injured, not have any more muscle fatigue. So probably not push as hard.
Yeah. I mean, I think if that's the case, if players are going to handle it in that manner, there's 2 ways to go about it. You either fine them substantially to make sure that doesn't happen again if you want the content, or you just get rid of the bronze medal match altogether, like tennis does. They don't have a 3rd and 4th. You lose, you're out. Go home. But seeing that was disheartening.
I wonder what their partners thought. Like I'm sure, well, Annalie and them won, so they don't really care. But like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what Luke was saying. It didn't look like Annalie and Catherine were like in on the deal.
Right.
They were just out there and innocent bystanders.
Right.
Yo, you got it.
Right.
Was it a double pickle or double pickle almost, right?
I actually don't remember what the final score was on it. I just remember seeing the highlights.
I think it might have been. I know it's 11-0. One of them was a pickle.
Wow.
I have to look that one up. Let's look
That's
that one
wild.
up.
Yeah, not a good look. It sucks to have players just kind of like, what is that NBA player that was like, I'm here so I don't get fined? I saw that one of those memes.
That was the football guy. Marshawn Lynch.
Football guy? Okay.
Running back.
Felt a little bit like that.
It's funny as fuck, by the way.
Other big headline was the singles match between Hunter Johnson and Federico Stackscrewed. I
Like
think
a little deja vu there, no?
in terms of for you,
Kind of what happened to us, but on the other foot.
yes, exactly, yeah. So I'll give you kind of like the kind of breakdown of what happened. So Stackscrewed called the ball out, and Johnson had no free challenges. So Johnson challenged the out call at risk of a technical warning if he was wrong. The replay official on the court said that the ball was out, even though it looked very in. So then Johnson got the technical warning, but called Don Stanley to come in and then appeal it. So Stanley overturned the on-court ref, and that removed the technical warning for Johnson. And then in which case, Stackscrewed then called a medical timeout for reasons we're not entirely sure. And then the same thing kind of happened again.
Didn't he call it a mental
Health timeout or something like that?
Yeah. He had to cool off basically, but took an extended one. Yeah.
And then in game 3, Stackscrewed, I think was swearing in Spanish, in which case he got a technical warning from the ref on court who heard it. And then so a point was given to Johnson, so Stackscrewed called Don Stanley back to the court, and then Don Stanley held the call, and so he got another technical warning. So 2 points awarded because of technical fouls in the game. So I guess the question is, what's your take on the whole appealing the ref on the court? Like, what's the deal with that?
Look, I agree with Federico's gripes, to be honest. I agree with all of them. The shitty part about it is this is exactly what happened in Dallas when Zane and I played Matt and him.
Right.
And, at that point, it was like, no problem then, right? I mean, fuck, these are the rules. This is the way it is. I think the rule's dog shit. You shouldn't be able to challenge to the head referee. Once the ref on the court makes the call, it's done. That's it.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. I don't know. So
Yeah, so I don't know. I can't imagine in tennis, and I've talked about that, like you basically diminishing the opinion of the ref on the court. I don't think that's wise. But
yeah.
fuck.
I mean, obviously, some of this would be resolved if they just had better line calling from like a Hawkeye sort of situation, right?
We abandoned it.
Yeah.
It was too good.
I don't need that. We need this drama. We need this fucking. We need to make more bad calls on bad calls.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the other argument, right? I mean, some of this actually makes these events pretty interesting. People said that like this is one of the most exciting ones to watch, probably because of these reasons, right? So, all right, so yeah, I mean, generally, the scene is wide open in terms of like the quarterfinals and finals. The only one that's steady right now is women's singles. Anna Lee continues to just dominate.
Might have been the best match. Was Buckner and her.
Yeah. Yeah, Buckner took game 1.
Yeah, Buckner took I think she was up like 7-5, maybe game 2. Had looks. I think this paddle she's playing with is better for singles. The slightly elongated Graf or Agassi version, whatever you want to call it, of the Yola. And yeah, again, that variation from Anna Lee to the rest of the field is just going to shrink and shrink and shrink. But the fact that she's still dominating at the clip she is, special. Very, very special.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I have more and more respect for her as I watch her. Even when she and Ben lost, like, she tried to pat Ben on the back and he wasn't having it. She was the more mature about the loss. She handled it well when they
what was he upset about in that loss?
Yeah, when he screamed off walking, I don't know.
He said that he did like unforced errors, I think is his
he's
thing.
mad at himself.
Mad at himself, which I think is right. But, and I'm not I'm not Anna Lee, that's for sure. I'm probably more like Ben walking off, fuck this. But, she handles it really well. She's the girl who walked off when she lost to Tyra or whatever a year and a half. That girl doesn't
different
exist
girl right
anymore.
now. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of times gone by, like lots of maturing and stuff. So yeah.
And I think she's taken that role as like, I'm the face of this.
Yeah.
I think she's aware of it.
Yeah.
And handles it really well.
How do you like those player like interviews after they've started doing? They've been doing it for when they lose and win at this point for the.
Yeah, I think it's great.
They're good.
You have to do it. You have to get the raw emotions and feelings of the players, and hopefully they get really candid interviews and say some good shit and some dumb shit sometimes because you want those storylines.
Right. Yeah. Do you see Dylan Frazier acting as a press guy?
That was
awesome.
well done too.
He looked great.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Oh no, he's that shell is wide open.
I know, right?
The conch shell is just.
Yeah. Yeah. Talking and maturing. That's awesome. All right. So any other things you wanted to call out from Mesa, or shall I move on?
Think really quick. Yeah. I mean, I guess my prediction kind of is right so far that Alshon and Diescu are the best team. I think I'd said they would be a top 2 or 3 at the end of the year. I think they're the best team. They're so long. If they don't play together all year, that's foolish. They pose a lot of problems. So yeah, I'll give myself a little good call.
Nice. Pat on the back.
Thanks.
All right. So let's skip to some minor league stuff real quick. We don't have to spend a ton of time on this, but the news is that teams have had to make their drops. They had to, in the Premier League, make at least one drop, I think. Is that correct? And then they had to pay money to keep their remaining players, whatever their draft points were. So there was a little bit of some head scratches on this. I'll read them to you if you want to react. But St. Louis Shark decided to drop Kate Fahey.
Yeah, I think that was necessary.
Who would you have dropped, Luke?
It was
Tadio.
I mean, I think that's a good argument. There's not as many good girls. She's ticking upwards constantly. I think that's fair to say. It's possible, but Gabe is at the moment for our game essentially generational.
If you were holding a draft from scratch, who do you think goes higher in the draft? Gabe Tardio or Kate Fahey?
Fahey.
You do?
Yes.
What about you, Travis?
Say it one more time, sorry.
If
you holding a draft, what?
If you're holding a draft from scratch right now, who goes higher in the draft? Kate Fahey or Gabe Tardio?
Gabe.
Interesting. I just think that, like, if you think about it this way, they've dropped Fahey. They would have only had to pay like $8,000 to keep her. To be able to get another top female back, considering that so many have now been taken, they really only have like 3 or 4 top women to pick from. And so they might end up having to pay more money for a challenger level woman. Whereas the male pool, arguably, a little bit more wide
No,
open in terms
it's
of
not, that's
picks.
not arguable. That's true.
Maybe
Sure.
Yeah.
Anna's got somebody in the
Well,
in the wings. We don't know. We should
that's
know.
possible.
We should go through
She's
that.
always good at that shit.
But I mean,
she's
it's
got
a
somebody.
capped list of 150
Right, you
people.
can't surprise
hide
anymore.
Can't hide
Yeah,
it too
true.
much.
right.
True.
Okay, so that's one. Next one, the New York Hustlers dropped everyone.
Who did?
Hustlers.
So did the Slice, right?
Yep.
Well, they had to.
The Slice had to.
Slice had to.
They
but
weren't
the,
contracted players.
but the Hustlers obviously didn't necessarily have to. So obviously they dropped Sark, Newman, Jansen, and I forget who was on that at the end because I think there was some trades there. But what do you think? Like, do you think that's a smart move or no? Building
Sorry,
from
guys, give me
scratch.
1 second. I apologize.
I don't know the reasoning behind it. I should talk to someone on that. I'm sure part of it is money. Those are probably big ticket players that weren't quite getting what they wanted out of them, right? Like
Yep.
what's Sock? Sock's probably
Sark and Newman, 275,000 a
That was
keep.
a big one.
to keep.
Jensen,
So there's $500,000, right? Or more.
So Jensen was 77.
I think they just didn't get what they wanted out of the players for what they're paying for them, and so they're gonna take a chance on spending that money on other players.
So other than that, DC dropped James Ignatowicz. They kept Deckel, Jackie, and Rachel.
Yeah, that's right.
I think
That
that
seems
makes
like the
a
right move
smart
by them. Yeah.
The Flash ended up dropping Augie. So I think that's kind of what we predicted
Yeah,
from
they
last
have
time
to.
we talked about it. The Mad drops obviously dropped Wilson,
Yeah.
which
sad.
was a decision kind of made for them in some ways. So they've got, Hunter, Jade, and Catherine still. And then obviously let's see. The Fives dropped Hamburg, which I think is an interesting one again.
Adidas paddle, maybe.
Maybe they knew about that before.
That's what memes said. As soon as they saw, they fucking dropped her.
That's interesting. I mean, it was kind of obvious they were going to keep Anna Lee, but I think that did we predict they might drop Will or Zane instead of Mari?
I think our guess was Zane. Our guess was
I
either
think I
Zane
had
or Mari.
No, I think I had Mari. And
We
you
said
had Zane.
We said both, and we made an argument for both.
Got it.
And then we said once Mari got dropped, we called Zane right away and texted him and said, "Bet you're feeling pretty lucky today."
Right.
And Zane's like, "Yeah, dodged a bullet."
Yep.
So I've been getting a lot of stuff lately about a new rule that's dropped. Again, I don't know if it's public. Tell me if it is for MLP. That I'm going to get this wrong too. These rules are so complicated. You have to have them written down in front of you. But basically, your 5 and 6 spot in Premier twice can be grabbed by another team. So
Okay. Like loaned out.
not even loaned out. Like, let's say that you have an injury of one of your top 4 Premier players.
Right.
You are allowed to grab from some other teams their 5 or 6 player
During an event.
just for the season. Like, they've made up this rule. We got to look at the exact how it's worded, but there's some GMs that are like going out of control. It's like,
I'm confused. Wait, so a player can essentially be a member of 2 teams?
no, once they trade you, you get the injured player becomes your 5 or 6 player, and they have to activate that 5 or 6 player on their team, and it becomes their player the rest of the year.
Are you following this?
No, not really.
No,
So
never mind.
give me a scenario.
Okay, you have Kwang Dong playing on a team. He gets injured.
Yep.
He can be then replaced
But
by.
is he the 5 or 6 guy?
No, he's the top 4. He's one of the
Okay,
top 2
okay.
guys.
Okay.
They can then go grab Donald Young, who's the 3 guy for a team, and trade him out. And now Kwang goes and becomes the 5 spot or the 3rd male for one team, and Donald Young becomes the number 2 male for the team
By
that Kwang was
agreement,
injured.
by agreement or forcibly?
Forcibly.
Whoa.
The team gets to choose and grab from any 5 or 6 player they want in Premier.
I thought that was the whole point of drafting the 5th or 6th
That's
player.
the argument by all the GMs and why they're so upset. So I think the 2 side arguments are we want the best product possible out there.
Yep.
So we want the best players playing if there's an injury. But then the counter argument is how do we get people to build up community? What if we want to like build up a player on our team and cultivate them and
Yes.
make them better and,
Yes, and create
and
fandoms
sell their
and-
jerseys and create
Well,
fandom? If we're at any point we can randomly
buy.
grab that player and take them away.
I don't understand. So your second male player gets injured. Instead of picking up your fifth or 6th player to replace him, you pick someone else's 5th or 6th player. Like, what makes them better than yours?
We gotta look this. I gotta make sure we don't have to
Yeah, I
cut
want
this
the
out.
clarification here because that's a weird. That's a weird one.
This seems odd, very odd. If that is a
I'm
rule.
just saying.
I understand what you're trying to say though about like if this is designed to keep the best players on the court, that makes sense. But arguably, there's better players on the main roster of Challenger at this point for men.
Great point.
You know,
Great point.
like otherwise they're going to be picking up what like Ryan Fu maybe is drafted as a 5th or 6th player on a team, and instead you've got people like Travis playing on Challenger.
Good point. Maybe they can forcibly take Challenger players. That'd be awful.
I'd be really upset.
That would be
You don't want
wild.
me, guys.
Yeah, interesting. All right, so TBD on that. Yeah, I haven't heard that rule. Is that a new thing?
Yeah, last 3 or 4 days, and there's a
Wow.
lot of teams that are not happy about it.
Got it. All right, so that is I don't know. So that's it. Were there any other surprise trades or drops from your standpoint? Did we talk about Diescu getting traded last
That
week?
was an interesting one.
Diescu got traded by Proton's
interesting
team.
for me.
Yeah, because Diescu obviously is like the Proton
Mr.
guy,
Proton,
the king of Proton.
yeah,
And then, he was traded to Columbus, and now it's in Columbus, which does Darren Klinger have some ownership of Columbus?
isn't he the coach for them?
I don't know. But now it's CJ and Diescu as the squad.
Right.
Like, that's a fucking sick squad.
Which
But it was just weird. It was like Proton puts all this money and then they have their top dude and
Yes.
he's gone.
who
So
is
Maybe that's foreshadowing something that's about to happen with Diescu and Proton.
I mean, that
highly
would be a
doubt that the
bad
guy's
move.
winning everything.
bad move for Proton though. I mean, because Diescu just won gold.
Again,
It's interesting. You're
interesting.
right. That's a very. We need to know more about that trade.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a wild trade.
All right, so any last thoughts on MLP?
it's gonna
I'm
be a
gonna move
great
on.
year. I think with the season, it's gonna be a great fucking year.
Great
Can't wait.
year.
Hype. I'm excited, and it's coming to St. Pete. So come to St. Pete. Maybe we should record a pod at.
We have a podcast studio there.
So we'll film it at the
Yeah.
facility next when the MLP's in town. Maybe.
Yeah.
Dope. Let's go. All
I
right.
miss it here,
So
though. Julio asked me that last night. Like when Spa opens, are we gonna be here?
Yeah, we'll come out.
I mean, I will be, but you don't even, you're nowhere to be found these days.
we'll hit some tennis balls on the courts.
Yeah, sounds good. We should put a tennis court like right next to Spa.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. We need at least one tennis
I
court
agree.
in Spa, I
Just
think.
one. It's a racket club. The fuck's going on?
They're too big.
We'll get temporary nets.
They're too big.
Fair.
These courts are huge.
Yeah, they are.
All right. So I'm going to move us on to a new segment based on the new name change that I'm calling Good Call, Bad Call. I'm going to read a series of statements or situations that's happened in the pickleball world, and you're going to have to decide if it's a good call or a bad call.
Okay.
The first one is that the UPA are now having a regulation against pegging, where if a player is seen to be forcibly headhunting, they can be fined $2,500. Is that a good call or a bad call for the sport?
You go first.
I
I say good call.
say I'll take Zane's thing here. It's a, I think it's a bad call, but it's never going to be enforced ever.
Okay.
It won't be enforced?
No.
What do you mean?
Because you have to prove intent. It's subjective. There's no way that the ref can police that. The only one you could say
The Ben
for
Johns.
sure is like the Ben Johns. But the one that I hit at Colin, I aimed around his nipple and I was 3 to 4 inches high with my target. I'm trying to hurt him. That's a part of the fucking game. So do I ever think someone's actually gonna get fined? No. Do I think it's good that we're trying to protect the players and their eyes? Yes. But if you're going to do it, then no, let's go back to the real problem, which is the fucking paddles. There's only 2 ways to correct it. The paddles, or you have everyone wear protective eyewear. So yeah, the intent is right, but the formula is wrong.
Sure.
It's a good call because it sends a message to rec players that, no, you shouldn't be
That's
doing
true.
this.
And that, I think that's actually the intention is like, it's becoming such a normalized part of the game. And then you have
you have
doing
people
it out here.
training for it. Yeah. It'd be like
Sure.
literally like drilling headshots.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
like, so it'll
I was-
kind of
I
cut
was
down on
doing
that.
Yeah.
You were drilling headshots?
Yeah. In practice, if one sat, it was body.
Well, there was one instance of where this rule came up this weekend
Yeah.
with Will
The Wyatt
House, I
Stone?
think.
No, it was the Wyatt Stone one.
A Whitestone. And so he jumped up, and so it caught his shoulder. But had he
Right.
not jumped, it probably would have been his head. So therefore, Don decided it
I think he
wasn't.
called targeting initially, right?
Yes. But then was like, actually, because it hit his shoulder, we can't prove it.
Right.
So Yeah, interesting. We'll
Well, I
have
think
to
like the
watch
targeting thing will happen. I just don't think they'll review it and then be
that. Sure.
fine.
All right, next one. Stack screwed after one event playing with the Adidas paddle decides to actually switch back to Yola as things develop in terms of the technology. Is that a good call for Stack screwed or a bad call?
I mean, first of all, I called it. Let's say that. Okay. Check out Beers with the Rattlesnake. And I say exactly that. And funny enough, I send it to him first. I'm like, are you okay if I put this out? He was like, yeah, go ahead. I love the paddle. I was like, bullshit. If they haven't made you a new one, you hate it. And then sure enough, he was playing with Yola. But yeah, I think like in his contract, there's something along the lines that the paddle that they give him has to be of comparable performance. And obviously at the moment it's not.
Yeah.
So it's a good call. The guy wants to win. I respect him for it. Like fucking do whatever you can to win.
Great call.
Yeah.
Great call. Especially if him and his agent put that in the contract
Yeah.
and had the foresight to do that, because so many other players have messed up in that regard. Brilliant by Staxford.
Mm-hmm.
All right, how about this one? Will House eventually does sign a 3-year UPA deal, but has a 1-year PPA exemption so that he can play the Pickleball Rankings India League.
I'm hearing there's a couple players that are getting that, which I find surprising, but you know, at the end of the day, we want all the best players. So good call.
Yeah. Graham?
Good call.
Good call.
Yeah.
Gets to make some money maybe in the first year and then just hops over to the PPA after.
Yeah.
Makes sense. One pundit believes that this year.
I'd love to know what the India League thinks of that.
Oh, like that. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they were signing exclusivity deals, were they?
I don't know either.
But I mean, it's like,
I wouldn't think so. They want the PPA players.
Right. Right. So they wouldn't ask them to commit to one or the other. Yeah. Interesting. All right. This one pundit believes that Alshon will eventually become the #1 male player in the Pickleball Tour. You think that's a good call or a bad call?
which pundit?
I forget.
I think it was
This one
I think it was
pundit
Dane Gingrich said it.
said that.
Possibly.
What?
That
Diaskew?
he's-
No,
that he's like,
Alshon.
yeah, that Alshon might be like the best player already.
Oh, Alshon is.
Yeah. And look, I'll say this. I think, and this will probably be unpopular opinion, but I think he's probably the largest beneficiary from the paddles and the balls being the way they are because his drive is so fierce. He's super athletic. He's very fast. I don't think he has the softest hands or like the most manipulative abilities around the line. So yes, I think in this climate, if things remain as they are, he will probably be, I don't want to say the best because I don't think that yet, but he's certainly a top 3 guy now and can possibly get there. If the game slows down again, I think he has a pretty substantial drop off.
Is Alshon #1 in the world? I don't know if that's a good or bad call.
That's a bad call. Sorry.
That's a bad. I think that's a. Yeah, I'm gonna go
Okay.
with bad call.
bad
You know
call.
what we haven't been hearing a lot about lately? Hayden Patrickwen.
Yeah.
What happened to Hayden?
What happened to Hayden?
I don't know. He played with Ben
That's right.
in Tucson. And like I said, bad call. Career's over.
That's what Ben's
Fucking
doing. He's
idiots.
ending all the top players' careers by playing with them,
I mean,
crushing
I
their
don't know, like,
confidence,
I
and then
felt
he'll
like-
eventually get his.
I feel like Hayden
his
was
calling
5'7",
back.
now he's 5'6".
That's so funny. Too funny. All right, last one. This lady on Twitter, I forget the name of. I'm sorry. I'm gonna try and
These poor people.
I'll try and attribute
Pundits.
these people before.
That's because it's not real. He's just making
I'm
it
not
up.
making this up.
This
I
one
promise.
person
No,
said.
I believe
Not
all
making
of
it
I
up.
believe all.
I believe all of it.
Has suggested that the 5 matches is too long for a championship Sunday for ones that aren't a milestone event. I forget if it's an open. I think an open is the big one.
Okay.
So they're saying for cups, we should have a 3-match final. And maybe if they really want to stagger it, you could have 5 matches in the semis or quarters for the ultimate, ones. But
Are
generally
you saying the 3 out of 5 sets?
3 to 5 sets.
Got it,
Yeah. Yeah.
Good call. Too bad we can't give this woman on Twitter
The rep. Yeah.
On
She knows who
X-
she is.
on
out
X
there.
or prop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I like the 3 out of 5, but I don't.
As a viewer or player.
Wouldn't know as a player.
He really likes best of 3s playing 2 games only.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a minute, guys.
He's a best of 3 kind of guy.
Yeah. No, I think that you could do well in a best of 5. You've got more chances to get heated up, more chances to, you know,
challenge paddles more often.
Yep.
yeah,
I like the 3 out of 5. I hope they keep it.
yeah. For all events.
Not singles. I mean, we talked about that. Like, I would like to see that too, but that is very,
it's
very,
a lot.
very hard. I mean, their fucking Stacks rematch was 99 minutes. It's insane.
Yeah.
But do you
hard
only
and
want it
sometimes.
for the majors or do you want it for all tour events?
I want it for all events.
Wow.
What about you, Graham? You said maybe just for majors.
I'm good with that call. Yeah.
And it's a good tennis copy.
Yeah, it's a lot to watch. Like
That
I
might
will
be right.
say.
You know, that actually, that's good to say because then at least it puts like a little emphasis on this is different.
Yeah,
This is
right.
for more. Okay. I'll say good call if it's just majors.
Yeah, makes sense. All right. Yeah, that was the end of Good Calls, Bad Calls. New segment.
Great job.
Yeah.
Love that segment.
Love that segment.
Okay, perfect.
Wow.
You got to wear your hat now.
You
Your little
just-
fucking.
I know, I
Oh,
didn't
that
need to
keeps you
get
getting the
that.
hat.
But he won't tell us the good call, bad call
You're never gonna
topics
know.
ahead of
Yeah,
time
but
so
when
that
you
we're
make a good call, as rare as that is, you can come in and wear it the next time. Like the John brothers splitting up. That was your one.
You can control it. Can't you make it good call in the moment or bad call? Perfect.
Yeah,
not
you
really in the
actually could.
moment. I have to kind of prep it ahead of time.
Okay.
I have to know, which is not that tough to do, what Travis is going to say on the topic ahead of time so I can respond to it.
It's not.
No.
I'm that predictable.
Yeah.
Shit. No wonder I'm fucking
It's going to be
losing.
Hayden Patrick Quinn, paddles suck,
yeah,
I don't say
right.
paddles suck.
and
Paddles are great. I just think they should draw them back. Paddles are wonderful.
That's
They're-
awesome.
The demise of the sport potentially, but
Great. Awesome. So next stop for you, Trav. What is it?
Coral Gables in Florida.
Close by.
I'm going to be there.
Chris will be there too.
I'll be there.
Donald is going to the Necker Island thing
Oh, sure.
Oh,
with Richard Branson. So I'm playing with Blaine Hovenier and again
Oh,
with
cool.
Elise Jones. Blaine was a Bruin like myself. So
Is
It'd
this
be fun.
a progressive draw or no?
No.
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 So you'll be playing on Friday, Saturday?
Friday mixed, Saturday men's dubs.
Dope.
Maybe I'll get to play one of those 3 out of 5s one
Sweet.
day.
I'll be there on Friday, so I'll come
Okay,
yell
cool.
at you obscenities.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
What are you going
That's
there
how I play
for?
my best.
What are you going there for?
Just to go. It's local.
Oh, just
Why not? Come with me.
driving
Let's
to Coral
go.
Gables.
We can
How
both
far
be
is
able to
Coral
sit-
Gables? 4
like
hours?
an hour and a
It's
half?
4 miles.
2 hours?
Hour and a half.
Oh, okay. I'm in. What complex is this at?
I have no clue.
Coral
But
Gable.
we need you there, Graham. We need you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind
Let's
going
go.
there.
Yeah.
Okay, Coral Gables.
All right. Yeah.
Ryan Scher will be there, I'm sure.
See if all the
Yes,
baddies
that's
come out
fine.
and support us. Come and yell obscenities at Travis.
That's how I play better.
I think that
Please.
we really should
Get
see
some
if we can
Cuban
make that
guys
happen.
like the MLP match. Have them start yelling at me.
Travis
I'll
doesn't
be
like
great.
when I watch him because I put my hands on my head when a shot goes bad.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
only for the MLP
Just
thing.
wear the hat and then like put a, yeah, you suck.
Just do this.
What was that?
High five. Me a little Borat.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for listening to Bad Calls.
Thanks for listening to Bad Calls.
We had some pretty good and bad calls today. So, yeah. Other than that, we'll see you guys next week.
Later.
Tennis is great.
Great. Thanks.
Okay.